Antonio Brown denies rape accusations in statement from attorney. Antonio Brown is denying allegations of rape and assault made against him in a new statement from his lawyers. The New England Patriots wide receiver was named in a lawsuit filed in Florida federal court Tuesday. In the lawsuit, the accuser identified herself as Brittany Taylor and claimed she'd been involved in abusive situations with Brown 3 separate times. Take a look at the full statement from Darren Heitner. Antonio Brown learned today that he'd been named in a lawsuit filed in federal court in the Southern District of Florida. Mr. Brown denies each and every allegation in the lawsuit. He'll pursue all legal remedies to not only clear his name, but to also protect other professional athletes against false accusations. Mr. Brown was approached by his accuser in 2017. Shortly after Mr. Brown signed a contract making him the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. At that time, Mr. Brown was asked to invest $1.6 million in the accuser's business project. Mr. Brown was not informed by his accuser that she'd just been levied with a $30,000 IRS tax lien, or that $300,000 of the $1.6 million so-called investment was to be used to purchase property already owned by the accuser and her mother. When Mr. Brown refused to make the $1.6 million investment, the accuser supposedly cut off communications with Mr. Brown. However, in 2018, the accuser resurfaced and offered to travel to Pennsylvania and South Florida to train Mr. Brown for the upcoming season. Therefore, the accuser engaged Mr. Brown in a consensual personal relationship. Any sexual interaction with Mr. Brown was entirely consensual. The accuser not only traveled to Mr. Brown's residences on multiple occasions, she traveled from Tennessee to Florida and returned at 2 a.m. to Mr. Brown's residence 10 days after the alleged assault. The accuser continued communications with Mr. Brown through 2018 and even asked Mr. Brown for tickets to a Pittsburgh Steelers football game in the winter of 2018. Mr. Brown's accuser has continually posted photographs of Mr. Brown on her social media in an effort to financially benefit from his celebrity. Mr. Brown, whose hard work and dedication to his craft has allowed him to rise to the top of his profession, refuses to be the victim of what he believes to be a money grab. In May 2018, Mr. Brown's accuser invited herself to join Mr. Brown and his friends, who were patrons at Miami adult entertainment clubs. After several hours of partying, Mr. Brown and his friends called it a night. Instead of leaving by herself, as she had arrived and returning to her hotel, Mr. Brown's accuser solicited Mr. Brown to join her and return to Mr. Brown's residence, where the two engaged in consensual sex. Again, Mr. Brown denies all the accuser's allegations. The lawsuit detailed 3 different occasions in which the athlete reportedly abused the accuser. The accuser is reportedly looking for compensation related to the abuse, as well as punitive damages in an undisclosed amount.